It's Monday, October 30th here on the Sleepers Podcast. As October comes to an end, we near the start of the college basketball season. We have had secret scrimmages. We have had charity exhibitions. Most importantly, we have just had a bunch of basketball. And this is the first episode of this podcast since we've gone to daily episodes roughly 3 months ago now that we have a bunch of basketball to talk about. It feels refreshing. I'm a little bit nervous. I feel like I just went through like pregame layups. I'm kind of sweating. The juices are flowing. And it's also a Monday night, and the Lions play on Monday Night Football. So big energy in the air today. We're coming to you live from our homes. That's where it is. This is a home game today, but we got to protect home court. Carter, how are you feeling? You're nodding along in agreement.
Oh, yeah, because one, you threw the Lions part in there at the last just a little bit. I need to emphasize how important this game is for the Lions going 6-2 into the bye week. The game's at home, Monday Night Football. Your boy will be in the building. And on top of that, like, the season's here. As much as Greg, I love hopping on these calls and like for the first 20 minutes, we're like firing off ideas about how, you know, what if one player wore Adidas shoes instead of Nike shoes? How would we draft that team? It's much easier and I think much more fun to break down basketball that actually happens on the lines in between the court. So I'm very excited. And, you know, if this exhibition, little taste, little teaser, little appetizer is any indication on what the season's going to be, I think we're in for a really fun season of college basketball, and that excites me.
100%. Mondays, I'm realizing on this show this season are going to be the busiest days. I feel like in the middle of the week, we'll be able to hone in on like the 3 or 4 biggest things that happened last night, maybe a fun outside topic. Mondays, just like we have to pick 5 out of 1,000 things to talk about. And I promise, like, obviously we're Big Ten guys. Like that's where our heart is. That's the games we watch the most, the teams we root for play in this conference. But we don't want this to just be a Big Ten podcast. I think a lot of people sort of interpret like we're just Big Ten coverage. We intend to cover everything in the sport this year. So today's not going to be the best indication of that because our 5 topics today are Indiana, Illinois, Michigan State, and Purdue, because all 5 of those teams had really notable results in a scrimmage or an exhibition over the weekend. But there will be a 6th bonus topic that goes at least a little more nationally today. So it's a 6-topic day. If you're looking on the screen, if you're watching the YouTube video, you can't even see all 6 topics because I can't fit them on the screen. But there's a secret topic incoming at some point in the show. For the sake of time, we got to keep this moving. Like, I'd love to just shoot the shit with you for like 20 minutes at the top of this, ask you how your weekend is, ask you if you have a breakfast bit today. But Carter, I think we need to move to Carter's YouTube comment of the day.
Okay, we'll definitely do that. And because we are trying to move a little bit faster today, I'm just going to work my breakfast bit in at some point. You don't even have to acknowledge it. Just know it's coming. But really good comment day once again. Let's see which one I want to go with here. I was so focused on. Oh, okay. Just because it seemed like last week there was a lot of discussion around Jaden Akins. I think that I'd just like to read this comment by Tater 46741. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen Akins play a ton, but I think his ceiling is E'Twaun Moore. I'd have to see more of his handles to make a full Moore comp, though. But I think if he had more opportunities, he could be very Smooge-like. Was E'Twaun Moore's nickname Smooge?
If it was, it totally changes everything I've ever thought about E'Twaun Moore.
Likewise.
I've never heard that before, though. Yeah, I'm really fixated on the nickname right now. I don't know how to respond to that.
Well, the reason I actually read this comment is because I want to do this. I want to stop trying to find who Jaden Akins' comp is. I want to just take a week off of that. I don't want to compare him to Devin Booker. Don't want to compare him to, I don't even know, E'Twaun Moore. Just don't want to do it. Just want to just let it just stop for a little bit.
Why?
It's just not fun for me anymore. I'm not having a good time.
But why?
Just not having a good time.
Why?
Oh, because I don't think that I should have to get on here and make comps why Jaden Akins is a bouncier Desmond Bane or the Devin Booker or like E'Twaun Moore. Just said that not how I want to really spend my time, to be honest with you.
All right. I mean, I'll spend all of my time on this. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't know. I don't know, man. We'll talk Michigan State later in the show. Jaden Akins is a big part of that, right? I think we know that. I think we always have known that. Oh, and look at you. You are already sprinkling the breakfast bit in. I thought you might save it till later in the show based on what you were saying, but what do we have today?
We got a little homemade banana bread for my mother-in-law, who, in the midst of watching me watch Michigan State yesterday, could kind of sense the stress in the room. And I think she got up and decided to make a banana bread loaf. And now I got a little banana bread, a little almond butter on there, and then sprinkle a little bit of honey as well, a little raw organic honey. So
Wow,
great combo.
that's very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, this is not a shock to anybody listening to this, but don't love banana bread.
What?
I don't get the banana flavor. Like I like bananas, but I'm not like looking for banana flavor on anything else I eat. Like I wouldn't have ice cream be like, this needs some banana on top. I would never eat a loaf of bread and be like, I wish this tasted like banana.
That's just, I mean, banana bread. You ever have like banana pancakes?
Yes.
Does you rather have regular pancakes, I'm guessing?
Yes.
You don't
Yeah.
eat, do you eat your pancakes with syrup?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I thought that would constitute as like a wet food for you.
I mean, it definitely would, but I don't know. It's fine. Like I'm a French toast guy. If I'm going like breakfast bread, carbs for breakfast, I would prefer French toast in all settings.
I respect that take, but I do not respect the banana bread take. Banana bread is fire.
Does that have like chocolate chips in it or anything? Like I feel if you're doing banana bread to me, there's got to be some sweetness to it.
So this one, well, the sweetness comes from the actual banana, but you can, throw some walnuts in there, throw some chocolate chips, maybe. This one's just a plain classic banana bread.
Okay. All right. Shout out Mary Rose. I love it. Okay. Before we get to the Discord comments today, Cart, I want to do something special that you don't even know is coming, if you'll allow me to, of course.
Please.
So this is an idea that our beloved Coy from the Discord hit me up in the DMs about yesterday, I believe. Coy constantly looking for ways to make the Discord experience better for anybody who subscribes to our Sleepers Discord and supports the show. Well, he had a great idea, Cart. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a monthly giveaway. And I know that this is now October 30th. This is not November yet, but this is officially November's giveaway. I'm doing that today. This is how it works. Once a month, we're going to do a little list randomizer. I'm going to click the button with everybody in the Discord. Everybody gets a free entry after you've joined the Discord. And if you are the winner, we're going to send you 2 tickets to a game of your choice, plus a little Sleepers care package, a hat or something that you want that has Sleepers on it. So this is officially going to happen right now. I have all the names on a list generator right now. If you've been listening to the last 10 minutes, you could probably tell I was a little distracted. Like, I don't even remember what that Etwan Moore comment was, to be honest. I've been working on getting the list in the generator. So I think we have 59 paid members of the Discord right now. Everybody has a 1 in 59 chance to win this giveaway. You're just going to have to trust me. I can't show it on the screen. We're going to click generate and choose one. And our winner is Natalie Rose. Natalie Rose is the first winner of the Sleepers giveaway. Shout out, Nat. One of the original female members of the Sleepers Discord, Michigan State fan. Greatly appreciate Nat as a supporter of Sleepers Media. Natalie, we will DM you. We're going to buy you 2 tickets to a game of your choice this year, which I assume is a Michigan State game. That'll be fun. Maybe we'll even be there. And also either like a Sleepers hat, or if you have something specific you would wear that you would like a Sleepers logo on, let us know. We can get you like a shirt or shorts or sweatpants or something, or a hat. Congrats, Natalie Rose. We'll do this once a month, by the way. Sleepers giveaway, first of every month going forward. We'll just run this back through the end of the season. So Natalie won November's giveaway. There you go.
Congrats, Natalie. We're going to have to figure some things out, though, logistically when she requests tickets to Maui.
This is true. I'm glad that you are our logistics department. You have the budget. So this sounds like a Carter Elliott problem. By the way, you have to do payroll this week, by the way. This is
I
the
do have
first
to do
time you've ever
payroll.
had to do. We have a paid employee technically for the first time ever, and yeah, I'm excited to watch you try and figure that out.
I'm gonna get it done. That's what I do. I'm good with the funds.
I'm excited. Congrats, Natalie Rose. Now let's get to our Discord comments. Again, hopefully that was a good enough plug to join the Discord, but you can join the Discord. The link is in the description of every single video that we do. I feel like I say the same thing every single time, but straight up, it's the only great way to support us. Like, I appreciate retweets, likes. I appreciate comments on Twitter, on YouTube. The number one thing I would appreciate is if you join the Discord. And I also, this is a challenge I'm throwing out. I want more basketball creators to join this because I think there's a good amount that watch our show or at least like interact with our show. The Sleepers Discord right now is a great place if you're a basketball content creator to promote your work and to share your thoughts. Like Tristan Freeman from Busting Brackets in there every single day. I want him sending the work that he does. There's a lot of people we interact with, a lot of people who I know listen to the show that I think would benefit a lot and enjoy the community right now as this grows leading into the season. So that's my challenge this week. I want to see some names of people who create college basketball content joining the Discord. Comments from over the weekend, we have a lot of them today. We'll try and play by the rules where they have to tag us and then we respond. Trent Frazier is GOAT. Starts us off by saying, can we get an all Big Ten alpha/manic team? For example, the closer they are to Andre Curbelo, the better.
Okay, well, Curbelo's the captain, of course. He's got to be point. I mean, is this not just Illinois' last all-decade team? I don't want to attack here.
So I think it was me and Basketball Jones in a different thread. We didn't frame it as like manic players, but I don't remember if it was just like the most toxic five you could come up with, but Curbelo was on there. Like Jaden Ivey was on there. Hunter Dickinson was on there. And I wouldn't call Hunter or Jaden on the alpha or the manic team, but like that's a problematic locker room. If you have Hunter, Ivy, Curbelo, we threw Mackenzie Mbako in there, and I think it was Matthew Meyer at the 3. Meyer would be on the manic team. Like caffeine overdose, Matthew Meyer and Andre Curbelo would be the non-negotiables. I don't know who the other 3 would be though.
I love that team that you just named.
It would be a really good basketball team on paper, but like, I mean, it would just implode from within. Like Jaden Ivey would pout in the corner. Hunter Dickinson would be like running around on the scorer's table in a costume. I also, if you think about those 3 as a trio, Curbelo, Ivey, and Hunter Dickinson, Andre Curbelo is the alpha. As crazy as that sounds, he's the true alpha in that group of 3 players.
And that's what would make that team so fun to watch. Because it'd be Andre Curbelo thinking that he's the alpha of that team and trying to basically one up the other quote unquote alphas of the team.
Also a massive indictment on Hunter Dickinson and Jaden Ivey, that those guys are very good basketball players and Andre Curbelo is still the alpha next to them. But it's true. Great question, Trent. I hope we answered that properly. Coy, the aforementioned Coy, says Mackenzie Mbaka only made 1 3-pointer in 25 minutes of play. Is this concerning? We'll do Indiana for a full topic later in the show, but quick thoughts.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken on the box score, I think Indiana only attempted 10 threes in this game. I might be wrong. I might have to double check me on that. But I'll have more long thought Indiana things when we actually do the segment. But let's just say as a little preview, a lot of my concerns kind of came to the forefront in that game.
I'm just so excited for today's episode. That's my comment on this. There's so much to talk about. It's great. Fam, quickly, more concerning. What's the best item off the Taco Bell menu?
The best item, Crunchwrap.
Never had a Crunchwrap.
Or just honestly classic, just a classic chicken quesadilla.
Yeah. I like the chicken quesadilla. I like the chicken tacos. Put a quick plug in for the cinnamon twist, by the way. Great side. I think they deserve mention on the sides list.
Yeah. Those are also vegan, by the way, if you were wondering.
Oh, wow. I was not wondering, but I appreciate it.
Well, there you go.
Matt F says, after this game, give us your minutes breakdown for MSU that you want to see moving forward. I like this question. I think we can answer it before the segment because I don't think we'll do a minutes breakdown on the segment. So What would be your rotation if you were Tom Izzo?
So the guard rotation, I think, actually wasn't. I'm just going based off yesterday's exhibition game because that's the most recent one. And Matt, I'll be honest with you because this is an honesty podcast. When it comes to actually putting like actual and breaking down and putting and distributing minutes between players, I sometimes very much mess that up. So I'm gonna keep this very vanilla with who I want to play more and who I want to play less. You have your minutes for Hogard, you have your minutes for Tyson Walker, you have your minutes for Jaden Akins. Those guys should all be 30-minute a game guys. And then you figure out everything else around them. Okay. Jeremy Fears needs to play more minutes than Trey Holloman. I think Trey Holloman, to me, I want him to be a 5 to 8 minute guy. Yesterday, he played 12 minutes. I thought that was pushing it a little bit. 12 is like, it could very easily get to 15. Then you're like, where are the minutes for other guys like Fears in the situation? Carson Cooper needs to play more than Mady Sissoko. And, I also think that there needs to be more minutes. There needs to be less minutes for Sissoko and Hall and more of those minutes distributed either to maybe a couple more Cooper minutes or, more importantly, more minutes for Carr and Booker.
Yeah, I think the front court is the important piece to figure out. The back court truly, I thought I would be more upset about Holloman factoring in. I'm not. I think Holloman is doing a good job right now. The issue with Holloman is not Holloman anymore. To me, the issue with Holloman is no good basketball team should be playing 5 guards 15 plus minutes a game. It just doesn't happen. There isn't one I can point to that's like that team played 5 guards. Like if you have 5 great guards, you should play your 4 best a lot of minutes. That means you have 4 killers. And Michigan State has 5 great guards, and that's a credit to how unselfish everybody is. But unless you're really like playing small ball, which is not what Tom Izzo has ever really wanted to do, and I get he's starting Akins at the 3, but like unless some of Holloman's minutes are going to come at the 3, it's a time crunch. Like somebody or everybody is going to play less minutes than they deserve because you're trying to fit 5 guys on the floor. But like I said, I didn't really have a problem with the guards. Front court to me is the massive issue, and I will speak to it later. I get it's an exhibition, but it appears Xavier Booker is intended to just be the 3rd center on this roster right now. He immediately entered the game. They went on an 11-2 run, and he hit a 3. I'm not sure what Malik Hall can give that he can't right now. He had 1 less rebound than Mady Sissoko and Carson Cooper did in about 11 less minutes than both of them, 15 less minutes than Mady. So there's already tangible things to point to. I anticipate that would change as the season goes forward. But I think the big shift is somebody's going to get squeezed out of the front court. And I would hope it's the starting center, to be honest. If I had to put real minutes on it, just to answer Matt's question, I think what I would do right now at the start of the season is I would start Carson Cooper, play him about 25 minutes a game. I would play Mady Sissoko maybe like 8 minutes as a backup center, and then I would play Xavier Booker the other 7 minutes at the center. At the 4, I would start Cohen Carr. I would play him 22 minutes a game minimum. I would play Xavier Booker 10 minutes at the 4. I would play Malik Hall the rest. And I get Malik Hall is getting squeezed here, but I have more thoughts on that later. I don't think he's giving you anything that Cohen Carr and or Xavier Booker don't do better right now. So it'll be a long discussion because that's hard. Malik Hall is a veteran. He's a smart guy. He's contributed a ton to this team in the past. I mean, shit, what he finished with last night? I don't have the box score in front of me right now. But
he finished with 14 and 11.
He had a double-double last night. Now, all of that production came from the free throw line, and he did rebound. Give him credit for rebounding. He had 7 fouls in 27 minutes and was minus 21. Cohen Carr was plus 22 in half minutes. Like it's crazy. I'm not a huge plus minus guy, but it's crazy how much better Michigan State was with Malik Hall off the floor in this game. So that would be my answer for now, Matt. I'm sure that will evolve. It will change. Right now, the only issue I have is not enough for Booker. Ethan says prediction for the pod Monday. Greg will say Booker needs to play more minutes. He will use stats to show that Michigan State was better with Xavier on the floor. Cha-ching, you win, Ethan. Congrats. That just happened. Moving on. Travis Nelson says, just a reminder that these exhibitions don't matter until they affect my narratives. Then they don't. No, these exhibitions do matter until they affect my narratives. Then they don't.
True
You
ball
agree with that?
knower. True ball knower.
Yeah, Tennessee had the whole the no score graphic or whatever, like doesn't count. That was hilarious. Credit
That
to the
was
social
hilarious.
media admin. Yeah, I've always said, I mean, I've said it for years. You can go back and dig up the archives. I've said that secret scrimmages and charity exhibitions are the most important thing in this sport. I've said it for years. So, it's a good thing. You can tell a lot. Certain teams are 1-0 with a win against a top 5 team. Others are 0-1 with losses to top 10 teams. Tough. Guy says that Nebraska ball has been playing the role of scrappy 8 to 11 seed so far in the preseason. No, they haven't, Guy. Like, Guy, I
Yeah,
love
guy.
you. I love you, Guy, but stop this. Cut the Nebraska thing out.
Yeah, they're not a scrappy 8 to they're a scrappy 8 to 11 team in the Big Ten. Like let's just
Even
cut
that's
let's
generous. Like, I think they're a scrappy 12 to 13 seed in the Big Ten.
yeah, honestly, let's stop with the narrative. Nebraska's not making the tournament. They won't come close either. Let's let that be honest. They're not going to be scrapping to the end of the season trying to make the tournament. They're just not. You can enjoy them. You can enjoy Kisei Tominaga. You can enjoy guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and whoever else is on that team. But let's take a second here and be actually real with ourselves. They're not making the tournament, and or will they come close?
Yeah, a take like that belongs in Ryan's rant corner. That's what I would say. But
Yeah, you're gonna get your own corner, guy. In the Nebraska
he already
basketball
has
corner.
some
It'll only be
guys.
you.
Share these takes and guys, Guy. Like we want to give you your space to rock. Trust me, we'll give you the ball, get out of the way. But at a certain point, like the credibility of the brand is hurting when we're like propping up Nebraska as an 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. Also, get healthy, Kisei. That's all that matters here for this team. And he had a really bad ankle turn that didn't look great. No crutches, no boot though. So it looked bad. You didn't see the video? It
No, I didn't.
was bad. It was really bad. It looked like off visual alone, it looked like a break, but then he went to the locker room and came back out just with like a heavy limp on his own. So
I hate those. Those type of ankle sprains are the ones that like kind of stick with you, and you take hard steps. Like 5 games later, you feel it. I hate those.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he misses like a month, to be honest. But obviously, hope that doesn't happen. Matt F says, I'd love to see his high school tape to try and understand how he was a top 50 recruit. Maybe someone has some insight on Mady Sissoko. That's who we're talking about here.
So Mady played for a really, really good high school basketball team. He played for Wasatch Academy in Utah. Like really well renowned, basketball school. Has a lot of D1 prospects every single year. Yada yada. And he actually played he played well with those guys. But I think a lot of the Mady Sissoko thing was when he was playing, it was the whole time, what can he be? He just started playing basketball. Like this version of Mady is not the version you're gonna get. You're banking on him improving because he just started playing the game and he is a smart kid and he can learn how to play the basketball game and develop. He, for all intents and purposes, is the same player that he was, when he came out. I think his body has improved. I think he's made some very small strides, but for a guy who has been in the Michigan State basketball program for 4 years and had tools at his disposal, granted, the COVID year changes things. I get all that. But he just hasn't taken the steps that I think people who rated him, ranked him in high school, thought he was going to take, or probably even Michigan State thought he was going to take. I think even Mady himself would admit that maybe he thought he'd be at a different place right now, maybe further along. But it is what it is. Sometimes when kids are ranked out of high school, there is a lot of projecting that they just started playing the game of basketball and they can get better, but sometimes guys just don't.
Yeah, I want to be very careful with how I talk about Mady Sissoko today and this season, because there is a point where you cross the line of just like disrespecting the person here. And I think it would be very easy to cross that line with Mady. He has not really contributed in a positive way in roughly 11 months now. Now he had a great 2 games to start last season, but even when we talked the great 2 games there, it was really just what a pleasant surprise because we were expecting nothing. Like that's anytime there's been a moment of, whoa, Mady, positive, it's because we're grading this kid on like a kindergartner scale of we expect nothing. If you expect Mady to be a starting center on a top 5 team in the country, which I'm sorry, now all of a sudden we have to grade him on that scale, right? It was okay the last 2 seasons to not grade Mady on that scale because those Michigan State teams didn't have expectations that they do this year. This year's team, if we are to believe, is a top 5 team in the country. And Mady has earned the trust of this coaching staff to start games, to close games, to play more minutes than Carson Cooper and Xavier Booker combined. He has to deliver. And he's just not doing that. I mean, he made so many mistakes last night. We'll talk about it later, but they can't execute like a dribble handoff on the perimeter. This is a guy who's been with these veteran guards now for 3 seasons, and he can't just catch the ball and hand it back. Like, it was elementary level stuff. He was solely the reason they were down 15-1 to start this game. Cooper looks good right now. I think Booker's showing flashes. I don't know. I don't know why you play this guy. I don't know what he's done to earn the trust of the staff. And I've joked about it before, but like, I don't love the guys who are like, oh, he never touched a basketball until he was 20. It's great. Those stories are awesome. It's really, really cool when that happens. And sometimes those guys turn into Joel Embiid. A lot of times they turn into Mady Sissoko. Like, give me the guy who has played basketball since he was in kindergarten, because Mady has really zero basketball skill. He's just a physical center that honestly is kind of undersized for a physical center. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I don't think there was much on high school tape. I think people just fell in love with the story of, look at this physical presence who, now that he started playing basketball, can add things he doesn't have. It was all projection. He never added anything. He is the guy that he was that never touched a basketball. So moving on, Seyfried says 3 of the AP preseason top 5 teams lost in scrimmages this weekend. Rank your level of concern for each team based on their loss. Secret segment. Going to do that in a little bit. Great question, Seyfried. Ulamog says sleeper of the week goes to, drum roll please, it's busting brackets. Tristan started off the week strong with breaking mid-major news in Discord. He ended the week with an epic rant calling out those not serious enough to devote their weekend to fantasy basketball drafting, quality work all around. I agree with that, by the way. Cart, would you like to present the award to Tristan himself?
Here's your trophy, Tristan. It's shaped like you. Congrats, my friend.
For anybody listening, not watching, he is holding up a teddy bear shaped thing of honey.
Congrats, Tristan. We love your contribution. We love clicking to the next slide. Keep being great.
Tristan receives a lot of jokes in the Discord. It's because he can take the jokes. I love Tristan Freeman. He's one of the best friends that I have made in this industry. So shout out to you, Tristan. We greatly, honestly, when I said earlier in the show, like, hey, challenge to some of the college basketball creators, Tristan deserves credit. He's the only one in our little network of like 30 plus people that are sort of like trying to break into the industry. Tristan is the only one that has joined the Discord and supported Sleepers. So that's not shots at anybody else, but it means a lot. It really does. So don't think the jokes are that we don't love Tristan Freeman. He means a lot to us, even to Carter.
If we stop making the jokes, it's because we don't love you.
Exactly. That boy from Illinois says thoughts on Daddy Brad's roster management against Kansas. Basically no minutes for the freshmen, very limited minutes for Dane, Sincere, and Goody. I think sitting role players in an exhibition game is a good way to kill their confidence. This was a good opportunity for guys to prove themselves against good competition, but Underwood only cared about the win. Give me a 1-sentence answer to this, because I assume this will be a big part of the Illinois segment later in the show.
You play to win the game.
Oh, wow. Okay. I disagree is my response to that. We'll talk about it later in the show. Scrolling down, Booby says, what does Cooper Flag going to Duke mean for the rest of college basketball? As of right now, it is looking like they will be the runaway favorites.
I don't know about anything about runaway favorites, but all it does is just once again add to the Caucasian Infinity Stone factory that is Duke. If there's a really good big white wing, he's going to go to Duke, and he's probably going to go to the NBA shortly after that. It never fails.
I think this means Donovan Clingan is gone. I think this Cooper Flag has a chance to be the first likable white wing that Duke has had in a very long time. Do you have the likable white wing Duke's ever had? Luke Kennard, maybe?
Yeah, Kennard. I like Singler. I thought Singler was pretty well liked.
Everybody hated Singler because of his face, though, even if you liked him. Like, they're just going through, like, Singler, Grayson Allen, Reddick were all just, like, despisably great. I
See,
guess,
this is the thing, though. I think everyone likes Cooper Flag, but I think he's gonna go straight Duke villain mode once he gets there.
yeah, I don't know. Even if that happened to me, it would be likable for some reason. Something about Cooper Flag is just really likable in an endearing way. And I don't think that's lost now that he's at Duke. We'll see.
I'm excited to see him there.
Yeah, he's gonna kill it. Ryan the Lion says, sorry if you've talked about this already. What do you think about the NIT changes and the likelihood of it happening to the NCAA tournament too? I'm gonna jump in first. On paper, I don't love this. Whatever, fine. Like I wouldn't choose this if I could choose this. My bigger takeaway from this is that all these like national writers who are now going on a rampage of like abolish the NIT. This is horrible for sports. Have never cared about the NIT once. And like anytime anyone's ever talked about the NIT, they've made fun of you for talking about the NIT. And now they want to act like this is like game ruining for the sport of college basketball. I think it's hypocritical. I think it's a joke. And I think everyone did it. That's not shots at anyone specifically. That's everybody on my timeline was like quick to get the message out that, oh, this is horrible. No, it's not. Like it doesn't matter. And I get like, oh, this hurts mid majors to an extent in a big way. I totally understand that. I don't think if you've ever preached who cares, it's the NIT, you can't care about the NIT now. That's my stance.
No, I think I echo all your sentiments. There's a lot of fake outrage, which didn't sit right with me.
I don't get it. And it was everybody doing it. Like,
Yeah, everyone.
it was just weird. Booby has his player of the day. Oklahoma shooting guard Milos Uzan. Hope I'm saying that right. He says will easily break out this year, should average 15 plus. Downhill scorer, flashed his potential a lot last year. Will have a much bigger opportunity and will be the Sooners' #1 option.
I like him a lot. And I've seen him mentioned in NBA draft circles. Like I've seen like his name floated around. I could easily see him doing everything that Booby said he's going to do. I think he's a guy.
I was not expecting #1 option. I didn't know that was in the cards for him. I got to check out some Milos.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like who else do they have? Like they don't have Cambridge anymore. I don't think, right?
No, I believe he's gone. Hugley is in from Pitt.
Oh, Hughley.
Hughley, sorry. I thought it was Hugley.
I'm pretty sure it's Hughley.
Hughley just feels weird. Final question of the day. Tristan Freeman says, questions for y'all as content creators. Carter, is there a different way you're covering your team that has Final Four aspirations compared to last season, or will you go about it the same? And Greg, now as a father with new responsibilities, have you figured out a schedule, or we'll just wing it starting next week?
I will be going about this season differently because I have this different I have expectations for this team, so I will be going about it differently. Yes.
Okay. I have a schedule as best as I can have a schedule, but with like a pretty big, the door is open for change. My wife is great about supporting this. She lets me do this every single morning. I just try to sync it up with my daughter's nap schedule as best we can. I am like, I think I've mentioned this on the show, but I'm basically out of my Field of 68 responsibilities now, which does open a lot of free time. I'm now pretty much a full-time employee with the Dimers Company, which I love. They're absolutely great there. And I've had all the conversations with them of like, hey, I might have opportunities come up in college basketball season where I might need to like leave for a week. What happens when that happens? And they've been really supportive of it. I'm a contract employee with them. So as long as I give them advance notice, they have no issues with that. So yeah, I think there's a chance this season should be the most like balanced I've had time-wise, where I'm able to balance the family stuff with hopefully growing pursuits of what we're trying to do. This is kind of I'm going to be in I'm going to be in Louisville on Monday. Where else would I go to kick off the college basketball season than Louisville, Kentucky, home of Sky Clark, to reign in the new year? I'm going to be there with Dimers, and Sleepers correspondent GFed is going to be in the building. We're going to do a little watch along event in Louisville, Kentucky. And we're trying to rope Card in, but he would have to fly from New York to Kentucky. That seems difficult.
Yeah, I'll be supporting. I'll be in supportive husband mode this weekend as my wife runs her marathon on Sunday in New York.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Team Meg, by the way, shout out Meg. Can people still donate, by the way, or is it too late for the donations for Team Meg?
You can still donate, but I actually I don't know. I don't know if you can still donate. You can donate to me for watching if you want to, but she already went above and beyond her goal for the American Cancer Society, which is fired, by the way. So very happy about that, and a huge thank you to everyone who did donate. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed, and it means a lot.
If I donate to you, can I donate specifically to you drinking a Bloody Mary an hour before the race on Sunday?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I would like to donate to that. I'll hit you up offline about that. Thank you, everybody in the comment section today. You matched our energy. I think we have a lot of energy for the show today, and you matched it. So good work. Let's have a great week, everybody. Let's have a great season, everybody. I'm fired up. Starting the show today with our secret topic, which is back to Seyfried's comment. We had 4 AP top 5 teams in the country in action over the weekend. Marquette in a secret scrimmage against Michigan. Michigan State in a charity exhibition against Tennessee. Purdue in a charity exhibition at Arkansas. And Kansas in a charity exhibition at Illinois. These 4 teams all lost. 0-4 for the AP top 5 in their first contests against high major opponents. Some of these structured more as a real game than others. Marquette, Michigan was like a 48-minute thing that there were no cameras for. The others had like play-by-play announcers, like Andy Katz is running play-by-play. Kansas, Illinois was heated. It was feisty. It was competitive. Michigan State, Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee showed up and came and hit them in the mouth. Purdue and Arkansas got really chippy down the stretch. For the most part, these felt like real games. Our AP top 5 leaves without a win one day into the college basketball season. Who should be the most concerned from this group of Kansas, Purdue, Michigan State, and Marquette, all with a loss in their first action competitively? Who should be the most concerned?
I think the Jayhawks should be the most concerned. I think out of the teams that I watched, I think that they should be the most concerned. And before everyone gets at me about how I'm showing my Michigan State bias, just hear me out on this one, because I had my concerns about all the teams that lost, by the way. Like Purdue, I had my concerns. Michigan State, I could pick some concerns. But Kansas's in particular just seems like something that I look at and I project it throughout the season, and I don't necessarily know how that issue is fixed. Like there were so many situations yesterday where I thought, and this is not a shot at KJ Adams at all, because I think KJ Adams is like a great kind of utility 4-man who cuts extremely well, extremely physical, and athletic as well. And he does some great things as far as finishing. But the fact that he's a non-shooter just does so much to clog the lane for that Kansas team. And granted, you were able to see guys like Kevin McCullough, who looks like he's going to have a really big year on the wing for Kansas, step up. But I just found myself at the end of that game being like, this is very clunky. I don't know how the KJ Adams, Hunter Dickinson experience is going to work throughout the season when KJ Adams isn't a threat from outside the floor. And, with the loss of redacted for Kansas, there's a lot of pressure put on guys like Timberlake to shoot the ball extremely well, and guys like Marco Jackson to be a outside threat, and even DeJuan Harris in some case. And I didn't see it from those guys. And you could tell me I'm wrong on this as well. At times it felt like I didn't even know DeJuan Harris was out there, to be honest with you. I thought he was floating a lot yesterday. And he had one of those like okay DeJuan Harris games, but not the like I had expectations that this guy would take a step and maybe even show a little bit of alpha dog to him and be a guy who's considered to be one of the best point guards in the country. I didn't see that. It seemed like it's going to be one of those games where one of those years like he's had in previous years where he steps up some games, and some games he just kind of is solid and just out there basically. But for me, I definitely think I'm most concerned about Kansas just because it looks so clunky to me with KJ Adams and Hunter Dickinson, and it just didn't seem to work.
Yeah, Harris had 8 assists, and that was pretty much it. Really tentative, looking for his own offense. I think there's a lot to figure out there. I think Harris is going to have a huge adjustment trying to figure out how to play off of Hunter Dickinson, quite frankly. Like, just call it what it is. It's very easy to settle into like game manager role next to Hunter Dickinson. But if you're a game manager, you would like to be able to at least be a threat to shoot from deep. And I don't know that DeJuan is. I know he's made threes in his career, but the guy just doesn't want to shoot the ball. Kevin McCullough being really good, I think made it a little better on this game, because if Kevin McCullough wasn't really good in this game, everybody would have looked awful around Hunter. Kevin kind of saved it. You can see a path forward, but yeah, I'm worried about Kansas's depth. I'm worried about their shooting for sure. I mean, Hunter's it's all the same problems he had at Michigan. He's playing with a total non-shooting threat at the 4, a guy who doesn't want to shoot at point guard. And honestly, like, Kevin McCullough's the only teammate he had that made a 3 in this game. They were 2 for 10 from distance outside, or no, 2 for 9 from 3 outside of Hunter. The whole team was 2 for 9, and Kevin McCullough made both of them. He's a career 29% shooter from 3. Like, that's terrifying. He somehow went to a team with less shooting than the team Michigan had last season. So I think you're right. That's one of the two that should be most concerned. My answer is a different team, though. I think it's Purdue. I think Purdue is the team that should be most concerned. And I've been ringing the bell that this is the best team in the country all offseason. I think they're going to make the national championship game. I think they're going to win the Big Ten, everything. I've gassed them up as high as I possibly can. I did not think Purdue would be starting a 6'1" guard that shot 28% from 3 on 7 attempts per game last season at the 3. That's where we're at to start this season. This is a different team than was promised all offseason. If Lance Jones has emerged as the best option to play next to Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and Kaufman, Wren, and Edey, that means that 5 different guys who on paper would give Purdue a better option of what they need at the 3 are all not ready for it. Like, Miles Colvin looks like he needs a red shirt. Cam Heide is promising, but he's a bench guy right now. Brian Waddell barely played. And then you have Gillis and Morton, who Painter clearly wants to go away from. But how do you go away from them if you don't have a better player than them? Is where I'm at. Like, he didn't go out and get somebody better. Lance Jones is not better than those guys. So at minimum, like, I think this is just going to turn back into the team they were last year with Gillis and Morton. And then that's fine. If it's the team from last year, that's fine. But you need the step forward from Braden Smith, who had, once again, 7 turnovers against a team that pressures all game. So it's scary.
Yeah, it is. And I think a lot of what and I was kind of on the same train with Purdue as you. I thought that everyone was just being so down on them and forgetting what they did last year, being a top 5 team, winning the Big Ten. They were one of my picks, I think, to make the Final Four this season or really challenge for a Final Four. I truly thought that was in the cards for Purdue. And obviously, we're going to get a lot of overreaction blowback to this, but a lot of what I predicated my Purdue love on was guys like Cam Heide, Miles Colvin in particular, and even Brian Waddell after showing what he showed at the summer, being that guy at the 3 to bring that athleticism and, the slashing, something else for this team. And the fact that all 3 of those guys have fell short to Lance Jones seemingly, it just doesn't necessarily sit right with me. And also, for all the love that we gave Braden Smith, and I'm not worried about Braden Smith at all. Let's let that be known before I say this. Not worried about him whatsoever. Yes, I know he had 7 turnovers, but it was just so uncharacteristic to me. Honestly, it kind of seemed like he got caught up a little bit in the chippiness and the energy of the game to me, and was trying to make passes that he didn't necessarily need to make. Like, he tried to put a little extra sprinkle, a little funk on every single pass he made, and he made it harder. He was trying to hit the home run, maybe a little sweet looking passes when he could have made the very simple play. And I don't think that's going to be an issue for him moving forward. So honestly, someone might get mad at us for being like, oh, you're not addressing him having 7 turnovers. I don't think he's going to have that. And I don't necessarily think it was even the pressure that made him turn it over in this game from what I watched. To me, it was more so him trying to do too much. Now, that might be because of the pressure, but I truly think that he was just trying to do too much. So I'm not necessarily worried about that, but it's
I love that, by the way.
me.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I love that Braden was trying to do too much, by the way. I love a little seasoning with Braden. I love it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'd rather have – okay, I know I wouldn't rather have this because he can't have 7 turnovers, but he's being aggressive and trying to make plays. Just stop trying to make the very sweet play.
I love it. Make the sweet play. So here's my thing. It's the opposite of DeJuan Harris, right? All we've said all along for DeJuan Harris's career is like, go be that guy, go be the dog, go be the alpha and show up, like be aggressive. Braden Smith, you're never going to have a problem with Braden Smith not coming on the court and being like, I'm the baddest dude out here. I love that. And at a certain point to me, that's going to click. It hasn't clicked yet. It didn't click in this game. That's why he had 7 turnovers. But like this dude carries himself like he's the best point guard in the country. He attempts passes as if he's the best passer in the country. And he's not, but he's very, very good. And by the end of the season, he quite frankly could be. So I don't mind it. It's a little sauce. It's a little seasoning, but I don't mind that for Braden.
And I want to cut you off here. To start the game, Devo Davis, and I forgot who else was guarding him, goes under a screen on Braden Smith. And there's nothing I love more than a guard who's like, don't you ever in your life go under a screen on me. That is the most disrespectful thing. I might not make this, but I'm firing this. And you better go over the screen next time. And he banged 2 threes immediately and shot that shot. DeJuan Harris is not doing that. I'm not trying to make this a DeJuan Harris versus Braden Smith thing. But what I'm saying is that Braden seems to be wired differently.
Yeah. I would ride or die with Braden Smith. I can go down, and there will be swings. Like with Braden Smith is your second best player in your point guard. There's going to be games you lose because of Braden Smith. There's also going to be a lot of games you win because of Braden Smith. So, yeah, I just want to say I love and this game didn't matter. I have more on this in my one big thing, but like end of the day, these games didn't matter. Am I mad that Braden was putting extra sauce on his passes in a game that doesn't matter? No, I'm not. It didn't work.
This game mattered to Arkansas.
It did matter to Arkansas. It mattered to all of the underdogs, which I think is a trend in this. If we're talking about like, oh, who should be the most concerned? Why did this happen? Why did the AP Top 5 go 0-4? It's because Michigan, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Illinois played like these were Final Four games, and the other 4 teams played like these are charity exhibitions. Like truthfully, that's what happened here. It's like the underdogs came in like, we have something to prove and make a statement that we're here. And the other 4 were like, let's just get through this and stay healthy. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. All right. Kansas and Purdue are our answers for who should be most concerned. Nothing on Michigan State, nothing on Marquette. We'll talk more about these teams later in the show. In fact, let's get to it right now, Cart. We're getting to our 5 segments now, 5 different Big Ten teams with notable results. Let's start today with Michigan State. They lose to Tennessee at home, a game that had tickets sold, charity exhibition, all of that. Izzo and Rick Barnes were mic'd up for this game. Tennessee just jumped all over them early. Like that's kind of the story of this game. I believe it was 15-1 at the first media timeout or first timeout, whatever. I don't know if it's a media timeout for an exhibition, but it was Michigan State's veteran lineup who you would expect to be kind of the core of this team, that why everybody thinks their floor is so high, that was just off to a horrible start. I mean, turnovers almost every single time down the floor. Tennessee was very physical, very aggressive, getting to the rim early in this game. Dalton Knecht was incredible. Jordan Gainey was incredible. I mean, the story for Tennessee was really these 2 guys offensively. But for Michigan State, Mady Sissoko couldn't catch the ball early. All of the guards, I think, played a part in this. Like it wasn't just AJ Hoggard being sloppy. It wasn't Tyson Walker being sloppy. It was collective everybody being sloppy to start the game. And then they were just playing catch up the rest of the game. And man, they finally tied it with 6 seconds left in the game, only to have a phantom foul call lead to a Tennessee win. But what's your overall feeling after this exhibition? This is your team, top 5 in the country expectations preseason. What surprised you from this, and how nervous are you after this? Are you still confident?
Yeah, I'm still very confident in Michigan State and the ambitions and expectations that they have. Look, it's very hard to spot a team a 15-point lead before you can even get to the first media timeout and take a breath. And luckily for Michigan State, at least looking at that first segment, I think there's a lot of correctable things. I mean, they were just blowing dribble handoffs, and Tennessee was able to get turnovers and go to the other end of the floor unconnected. Gainey was playing out of his mind.
Wait, was unconnected a Dalton Knecht reference? Because that was fire if you just did that.
I did not mean to do that.
Unconnected. That was so
I
nice.
did not mean to do that, but it does work, and I'm going to ride with it. Dalton Connect was like a pro in yesterday's game. Honestly, I did not know he had that in his game. I think even Rick Barnes made a comment in the post game, like, I didn't even know that Dalton had that in his game. It's a very nice, nice surprise.
Rick Barnes
But
was like killing his effort. He was like, he's never gone this hard in practice ever. Like now
yeah,
the bar is set high. I kind
I
of
was
love
like,
that.
good Lord, Dalton must have been kind of loafing in practice. But uh, there's fixable things to me for this Michigan State team. The mistakes that they made, they battled all the way back, but you can't get out. You can't get down 17-1 and then give up 89 points and expect to win a basketball game against a good basketball team. That's just is what it is. I think there's a lot of things that can be fixed with this team, like a lot of fixable mistakes. And, I'm not necessarily worried about it. I think Tennessee's a really good basketball team, especially not in March. So it's not something that you got to hang your head about. You think you lost to a good basketball team. Granted, they were missing Vescovi and Sakai Ziegler, but I'm dead ass serious. I think that Gainey and Connect might be better than those guys. I'm just saying.
Okay, so I want to cut you off there because I know somebody's going to watch this and be like, how do you go 3 minutes without starting with the fact that Tennessee's starting backcourt didn't play in this game? And our Discord has been giving you some shit for this. Basketball Jones has been, I think, correctly calling you out for being so disrespectful to Santiago Vescovi. I know that you and I are not Vescovi guys. We've been allowed, like, we just don't love him as a player. There's certainly games where he shoots the lights out and is a quality player. It's not an either or, though. Like, it's not an either or of like Ziegler and Vescovi are here, Gainey and Connect are better and should be playing. All those guys are going to play. Like, they could have all four of those players on the floor together, and they will do that a lot this season. The guys that we would point to and be like, are Ziegler and Vescovi better than are like Jemai Mashak or whatever it is. Like these dudes that played extra minutes in this game that didn't do a ton. Freddie DeLeon being one who I know is a guy a lot of people like, but like if you add Vescovi and Ziegler to the two that were crazy yesterday for Tennessee, Tennessee might be really, really good. And I think a big part of the story of yesterday's game is absolutely the fact that Ziegler and Vescovi didn't play and Tennessee still did this. Like there is no outcome where Tennessee is a worse team with their starting backcourt in this game. And honestly, I do think it is pretty bad. It's a pretty bad look. I'm not going to overreact to an exhibition. I'm truly not. It's a pretty bad look that this game started with Tennessee missing their two starting guards and Michigan State starting with the quote unquote best backcourt in the country, and 5 turnovers in a row led to a 15-1 deficit. That's a horrible look.
It is, but also some of those 5 turnovers weren't necessarily the backcourt's fault.
Understould. And we'll talk about
but granted, yes, it is a bad straight up bad look. And I came away from this game very much impressed with like Tennessee as a basketball team. Mm-hmm. Like Tennessee's gonna be really, really good. Obviously, for reasons that we've already stated, like I'm down on Tennessee basketball as a whole in general. I don't got to harp on it anymore, but that's a damn good basketball team. Like they're going to be really, really good. This was a good test for Michigan State. And they got to, they'll be okay. I don't think anyone should like overreact and be like, this is something that's damning. Now with that said, I had some points written down that I think I'm going to keep an eye on, and then that might concern me moving forward throughout the year. I got 3 of them, and I'd like to get your thoughts on them. First things first, Jay Nakins, I think, is going to struggle at the 3 when he's checked by bigger players. I think he is. Like I believe he led Michigan State in assists yesterday. I think he had 6 assists in the game, but I thought he struggled to get his shot off, especially in the first half. And I attributed that to, for most of the game, he was being guarded by Dalton Connect, who is like 6'6" and also like a bigger body as well. I'm interested to see how that's navigated as far as like maybe, I don't know, change up the rotation going. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how exactly be done, but I'm keeping an eye on what Akins will look like when he's guarded by bigger players. Because last year I thought he struggled finishing at the rim. And in this game, I thought he struggled just kind of getting to his spots when guarded by a bigger, stronger player. Another thing that I have down here is that we already talked about it, but the front court rotations. I think that you can't have, and I get it. I know everyone wants to say these things about Xavier Booker and what he is and all this nonsense, whatever. You look at the stats from yesterday's game, and if I asked you who was more productive between Cooper and Booker, everyone would probably point to Cooper being the most productive. Booker was just as productive as Cooper was in less minutes. And I know you probably had the actual minute count, but it was very, very close in that scenario. I just don't think that there's anything that Xavier Booker is doing right now that warrants him being the third center on this team. There isn't. I don't think.
So I want to jump in on this. I promise I won't harp on this too much because Michigan State fans are just gonna they know I'm gonna do this and they don't want to hear it from me. But to me, it's not that he's the third center that is the problem here. It's that he's not a factor in the rotation at the 4. Like I want Xavier Booker being the third center, getting 5 to 8 minutes a game like he did in this game. I just also want him to play some minutes at the 4. I want those two things to be combined, and then I have no complaint here. And if they want him to only learn one position right now, I think that's fine. But I'm shocked that they're choosing the 5 and not the 4. I would have thought Xavier would for sure play at least 10 minutes at the 4 from day one on this team. And then maybe you work him in as a backup center. Maybe Kohler's injury changed some of this, but yeah, if the only way Xavier Booker is going to be used is 8 minutes as a backup 5, a third string 5, that's a total misuse of this kid's talent. Like effort concerns, be damned. You have too many concerns with your veterans right now at the 4 and the 5 to not get this kid on the floor more. And look, this game's an exhibition. It's going to change, but I would think you would see more of him early than late, you know? Like
we didn't see Xavier Booker until 8 minutes left in the first half.
That's the thing too. 8 minutes left in the first half where your veterans were actively sabotaging you. Like you were down, you spotted Tennessee a 14-point lead because Mady Sissoko has bricks for hands. And like, what is, I don't even know. Like if you're not playing Xavier Booker because you're worried he's going to make mistakes, what's your starting center doing? Like, I don't know how you square that at all. I think it'll change because I think Booker's too good. Like I haven't seen anything from Booker in this game or the games before this. I have not seen a thing from Xavier Booker that makes me want to jump off my Xavier Booker train. Like I've been holding stock in this kid. I think he looks what I think he is. I think he's the most talented player in this front court, and that includes Cohen Carr. I still believe that.
What was the lineup yesterday when State made the run?
They had Carr at the 4 and Booker at the 5. With pick your guards, whoever you want. All the guards are good. Like it was those two guys that came in. I think 11-2 run immediately in the 4 first half minutes that Xavier Booker played. He hit a 3 immediately first possession. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. So I have some takes. I texted you about the takes that I want to get to. Before I get to my takes, can I give you 3 things I liked in this game?
Yeah, please.
3 things I liked from Michigan State in this game. Tyson Walker, 19 shot attempts. It didn't even feel like he was on pace for that either. Like in the first half, there was a lot of like, he could be more aggressive. He needs to hunt his offense. And then down the stretch, you saw this guy go Kemba Walker mode. Like, let's not forget who Tyson Walker is in a close game. It's get him the ball and let him cook. And that's a blessing. It's a luxury that Michigan State has that. He was 8 for 19 in this game, 22 points. I just love that we see Tyson Walker shooting the ball 19 times. Second, the guards as a whole, their shooting was awesome in this game. I know after the scrimmage or whatever, Illinois fans were like, are you going to call out Michigan State's shooting? I said no, because these guys are good shooters. Jaden Akins, AJ Hoggard, and Tyson Walker combined 7 for 14, 50% from 3 in this game, combined 9 for 11 from the free throw line, and the 2 misses were Tyson Walker in the clutch in this game. Like those guys can shoot the basketball. AJ shot looked great in this game. He hit the big 3 late. So very, very good for me there. And then my third good, Cohen Carr is so ridiculous, dude. He's going to do something that we've never seen on a basketball court this year.
I can't wait.
I think he's going to break a backboard. Like, I think he's going to bring a basket down with a dunk in a game this year.
Yeah, like the first 30 seconds he gets into the game, the dude just tries to absolutely catch a body. That's what he's out. He's out there to be a menace.
He's a physical force, man. Even if he doesn't have anything else, like he's just gonna get like 10 and 4 every game in 10 minutes just off of
Yeah.
being who he is physically.
His rebounding was a lot better yesterday too, I thought. And
Yeah,
honestly, everything else outside of his athleticism, I thought was better. In that first exhibition game against Hillsdale, I thought he had some mix-ups defensively and things like that. I thought he was a lot better in this game at that.
for sure. All right, so then I have two quote unquote takes, but let me get the first one and I'll save the most spicy one that you know about for the end of the segment here. I really miss Joey Hauser in this game. And I know there's going to be moments throughout the season where we feel that more than others. This game for me was the first moment where it was like abundantly clear this team is going to miss him big time this season. And I think the big reason why is in the half court, I think you desperately are lacking somebody who can space the floor in the front court. And I don't really know what you do to fix this. Now, Malik Hall, his performance, we could do a whole segment on it, to be honest. Like we said, double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds. He was great on the boards. He was 8 for 10 from the free throw line. That's basically where he did all of his production in this game offensively. He was 3 for 9 from the floor. It felt like a lot of the times where he was involved offensively, it kind of felt like they were forcing it a little bit to me. It's like, we're going to get him the ball and let him do some ISO post scoring. I don't think that's ever a plan A or B for the Michigan State offense this year. It's just not a good option compared to what the guards could be doing. And to me, he's not a threat from 3 right now. He was 0 for 1 from 3 in this game. I don't think you have to respect Malik Hall as a shooter right now. I don't think that's been the case since his injuries. So to me, you're looking at this team, man. Joey Hauser opened the floor up so much for the guards last year. It just did. And even though AJ's shooting the ball better, if you're running out lineups with AJ Hoggard at point, Malik Hall or a non-shooter like Cohen Carr at the 4, and then a true center who can't shoot the ball, that's a pretty poor shooting lineup. No matter how good Walker and Akins are. Like, I think that could be an issue and will be an issue if they don't have someone who can space the floor in the front court. And looking at the options, man, let's run through them. Malik Hall, we don't trust right now at all, and no one's respecting him as a shooter. Cohen Carr, just not a shooter. Carson Cooper, Maya Sissoko, obviously not shooters. There's only one name you can even try in the front court who looks like a shooter right now, and it's Xavier Booker. And every time he's been on the floor, he's looked like the best shooting option in the front court. Are you with me? Like, this isn't just me camping for more Xavier Booker minutes, but I truly think it's critical Michigan State has a big shooting threat in the front court. And I think Xavier Booker is the only guy who can get there this year.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that, but just to play devil's advocate or take the other side of it, let's just do Cohen Carr, for example. I'll take him. Yes, he can't do what Joey could do shooting wise. Joey can't do what he could do athletic wise. And this, I would be way more concerned if the shooting numbers didn't like when it starts affecting the actual shooting numbers, then I'll get a little bit more concerned. I believe in this game, they still shot 43% from 3.
But it was all the guards though. It was all the guards. That's my point.
I understand.
We know the guards can shoot, but like, don't you think part of why, like, I gave credit to Tyson for shooting 19 times. I also thought in his attempts to shoot 19 times, his looks were a lot tougher than they've ever been to me.
But the thing is, I don't know if that's necessarily a spacing issue to me. To me, I don't think we did anything that we used to do. I texted you in the middle of the game. I'm like, damn, I miss seeing Joey Hauser pin downs. I don't really think we did that for Tyson until, honestly, the last part of the game. I thought it was more so Tyson. Tyson took some bad shots to me in that game. I know he shot 19 times, and I like that he shot a lot of times. But there were some shots where I was like, that's a tough one. And granted, that might be because of spacing, but I also think there's things you can do to get him better looks and better shots as far as sending him off screens or pick and rolls. Yes, we are going to miss Joey Hauser's shooting a lot, but in other areas, I think there's things that guys could do that Joey could not do. And it's gonna look different to me game to game. Like, I think there's going to be games where we're like, damn, we really missed that shooting, but there's also going to be games where like, okay, having maybe a more athletic guy in that position actually helps us out a little bit. Might kill our spacing, but might help us out in other aspects of the game. But Luckily for Michigan State, there is a 4-man on our team who you could put out there who could be a threat from three, and you could use that. But it's going to be an issue though throughout the season. I agree. Like it's a complete change of the team. You go from having Joey Hauser who's shooting high 40% from three to having a guy who's a non-threat from the three, like a non-threat. It's just too big of a drop off.
To your point, Cohen Carr was catching lobs. He had a bunch of alley-oops in this game. Like, yeah, that's just never been a thing. And we said preseason we were excited to see like AJ Hoggard with lob threats. It's going to look awesome. I mean, other guys were throwing lobs too. Like Jeremy Fears was throwing lobs. Akins was throwing lobs. Like everybody on the team can just throw it up. Cohen Carr is going to cram it on your head. So you're right. I think as a whole, it's going to be really hard for Michigan State to be like a national championship level team if they're playing three non-shooters. And I don't know if AJ Hoggard qualifies as a non-shooter or not. Right now,
I was going to ask that. Is AJ a non-shooter now, or is that something we got to watch? Like, we need a bigger sample size. Like, is he a complete non-shooter?
No, I give him enough credit to now that I wouldn't call him a non-shooter. I just wouldn't call him a shooter. But like,
right.
I don't think you're not ever like running stuff intending for AJ Hoggard to shoot threes. Like if he hits them, great. If it's off a kick out, great. I think the more important thing is like you want to surround a point guard that's as good as AJ Hoggard at passing with shooting, because you want there to be space for Tyson to go one-on-one, space for Jaden Akins to slash. If you're running Malik Hall or Cohen Carr and a true center as your two-man front court, there isn't spacing because nobody respects any of those guys from three. It just is what it is. So either Malik Hall needs to start making shots, which that would probably start with him attempting shots, which he isn't even doing right now, or Xavier Booker has to find his way on the floor. It just has to happen. So we'll see what happens. Okay, my take. I'm pretty curious to see how you'll respond to this. I did text you this to give you a little preparation. This is my first Michigan State take of the year.
We're so back.
I don't think that Michigan State's superstars, meaning Hoggard, Walker, and Akins, I don't think their superstars are good enough to survive Tom Izzo's tinkering in the front court and be a championship team. Let me explain this. The last couple of seasons, it hasn't mattered what Izzo does with rotations too much because there was no championship ceiling. Just is what it is. Like we could complain about Marcus Bingham not playing enough. It was the difference between a 6 seed and a 10 seed. This year's team, everybody agrees is a national championship contender. Going back to the last national championship contender, we had issues with who Izzo gravitated towards playing sometimes. Like we wanted more Jaren minutes. We wanted more Cassius Winston minutes, less Tum-Tum, less veteran centers, right? That team was talented enough that even if we complained about it, they were a national title contender anyway, even though it didn't work out. Like it didn't. Ultimately, they were good enough to survive Jaren only playing 19 minutes sometimes. They were good enough to survive Cassius, maybe not in a role we would have liked at times. This year's team isn't. That's my take. And I know that comes across as pretty disrespectful to those three guys, but I just want to be clear. As I'm watching Tennessee missing their best two guards, just destroy Michigan State's veteran starting lineup. This is a team that has been average their entire careers. Mady Sissoko and these three guards has been an average basketball team. And I know we think it can change. It's supposed to change. Last night, it didn't change. And I think all these guys are, like last night, they didn't play their best. I think it was like a C- effort at best from a bunch of guys individually. Other than Cohen Carr, other than some of these guys off the bench, other than Carson Cooper, right? Like the bench is what is supposed to change this. We've said it all offseason. The thing that makes this team different than the 13 lost teams is the freshmen, the depth. Well, the freshmen and the depth can't change the ceiling for this team if they're on the bench. It can't happen. So either Izzo's going to have to figure this out, and I know I'm doing the lineup shit. Sorry, I'm doing it early. But if this team's going to play Mady Sissoko 25 minutes and Malik Hall 24 minutes, and those two guys are going to combine for double the minutes Cohen Carr and Xavier Booker play, there isn't a ceiling. There isn't a higher ceiling than the teams we've seen the last 3 years because it's the same team. These superstars aren't like taking some leap. They are who they are. Tyson's a great player. He's a potential All-American. AJ Hoggard is who he is. Jaden Akins in this role is who he is. So the higher ceiling guys have to play in order for this team to get where it's going. That's my take. I think it will happen. I think Izzo's smart enough to get there. I think we're going to see Carson Cooper, Cohen Carr, and Xavier Booker eat away at Mady and Malik's minutes all season long. But until it happens, I have a really hard time buying that this team's the fourth best team in the country. How much do you hate that take from me?
I don't hate it as much as you think. I don't hate it as much as you think. But the only reason I hate it is because I actually think that that's what we're going to see. Now, I think that we do have PTSD from the years that you just mentioned and that not happening. But I truly believe that these guys, these younger guys you want, or whoever these other guys are that you mentioned, are going to kind of eat away at the other minutes on this team. And to me, looking at it from the outside in, I don't see, let's say Mady or Malik, for example, having an issue with guys eating at their minutes, to be honest with you. I don't. I think if they get their minutes, but maybe some of their other minutes go to the other guys, and that leads to winning, and that leads to, accolades and, winning, maybe possibly winning a national championship. I don't think that those guys would be the type of guys that have issues with that, to be honest with you. And I could be completely wrong on that. I wouldn't be surprised if I was. But for me, the only part that I have an issue with your take is that I think that the scenario that you said with those guys coming in and playing more minutes, I think that's going to happen. Like, I truly believe that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen sooner than later, too.
I think it has to. And if it does, I'll totally reevaluate. But, just, again, numbers-wise, plus minus isn't everything. Mady Sissoko and Malik Hall played 47 minutes combined in this game. They were minus 32. Cohen Carr and Xavier Booker played 24 minutes combined. Those two guys played 24 minutes combined. That is 1/3 of what you played Mady and Malik. Carr and Booker were plus 31 in 24 minutes. I mean, that is the game right there.
But only little asterisk I'll put on that, though, is that when you do look at plus minus, it's hard to look at Malik and Mady's. Yes, I know they were part of the reason why they were down initially, but it's hard to fix your plus minus when you go down 17-1.
I mean, Mady was the whole reason.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like there was actual spurts where when Malik didn't have his tunnel vision and was fouling and turning it over, where he actually did do some things as far as like making, like, even you yourself texted me and said Malik, what a good play. He had a pretty good baseline fade, a steal, diving on the floor. He had small moments.
That text
I can't point to any Mady moments.
That text for me was sarcasm, by the way. I'm sorry, but diving on the floor for a loose ball that knocked out of bounds and then flexing when you're down 11, that was sarcasm to me. I mean, like, great veteran stuff from him, but I need someone to point me to what Malik Hall gives them that's better than what Cohen Carr or Xavier Booker could do. I can't. One game in, we don't have one. So yeah. We'll see. That's my take. I'm sure you'll probably hear that from me a lot this season. There you go. This is going to be a long episode because I got 4 more teams I want to just do exactly what we just did with Michigan State for. Next up is Michigan. Secret scrimmage this time. They played Marquette. Marquette, 5th in the country in the preseason AP poll. When I was told that this game was going to happen, I expected Marquette to win handily. I do not have the highest expectations for Michigan in general. The reports are, without seeing any film anywhere on it, the reports are from the secret scrimmage, Michigan won 115-111. That's notable for a few reasons. That sounds like an NBA game. I'm pretty sure they ran this like an NBA game. It was 48 minutes. It wasn't 40 minutes. I don't know if they played like NBA shot clock rules or what it was, but it was a real game. It was a scrimmage. They played 4 12-minute quarters, though, is what I was told. Here are some of my bullet point takeaways. These are notes that I got from, I'm not going to reveal from who actually, but somebody that was in the gym. Doug was not great. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. The story of this game was not like Doug McDaniel went crazy. There were a ton of turnovers as a whole. Everybody on Michigan was turning it over, and they still managed to reach 115 points and win the game. Terrence Williams started. Trey Jackson did not start. Terrence Williams looked better than Trey Jackson in this game. T. Will was hitting threes and in general looked good. Terrace Reed, 17-8, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. Olivier Kamwa, 17-9. Overall, I was told how Michigan won this game. Physically dominant. And it started with those two guys. No Llewellyn, no Jace. Michigan only played 9 members in this game. I'm very surprised Jace Howard didn't get in an exhibition setting. George Washington III was the backup guard at both positions, backup point guard and backup shooting guard. He was hitting threes off the bounce, had a couple assists. Overall, looked like a rotation guy from day one. Namari Burnett led the team in shot attempts. He finished with 14-7, 3 for 6 from 3. He also played the most minutes in the game. Super balanced. Of the 9 players Michigan played, 8 of them had between 12 and 17 points. Only one did not, and you can deduce that the one that did not was Yusuf Kayet. And finally, Michigan made 35 free throws in this game. Speaking back to the point of physical dominance in this game, they won this game asserting their will at the rim, getting to the free throw line, and then making free throws. Over 80% as a team, finishing with 35 made free throws. So obviously, this is a great result for a Michigan team that has 0 expectations going into the season. It also might be a little bit of an indictment, maybe a large indictment on who Marquette is. Marquette clearly missed Omax. He's gone. Oso is the only front court guy that's back. Their only player over 6'7" is Oso Ighodaro.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you know if all Marquette's players played? Do you know that? Or...
Marquette's players all played. It was Oso and Joplin in the front court, and then Ben Gold, who's more of a stretch pick and pop guy. So,
got it.
Yeah, Marquette, not the most imposing front court, but regardless, the team that won the Big East last year, won the Big East regular season tournament, and certainly looks on paper to be a top 10 team in the country. So how surprised are you with this result?
I'm very surprised. I'll be honest with you. I think everyone's surprised. I think even Michigan fans themselves, Michigan players might even be surprised. Not surprised that I'm sorry, surprised that they won this game. I honestly was ready to come to this episode, talk Michigan on Monday when we did, and be like, Michigan kept it close with Marquette, or Michigan hung in there with Marquette. The fact that they were able to physically dominate this basketball game, and I think that's the key. Because for me, whenever I talked about Michigan basketball and how they're going to look successful this year, I talk about how they're going to have to get it done defensively, and down low, they're going to have to maul people. Like Olivier and Kamwa and Terrace Reed are going to have to physically assert themselves and physically dominate basketball games down low when other teams especially don't have the size and or girth, to hang with these guys. So the fact that they were able to do that while also making their free throws as well, I think is a very, very positive sign. Beating Marquette, physically dominating Marquette's a very, very good sign. Marquette is a top 5 team for a reason. You got to give them their credit. Might have some more questions about them, but it is what it is. They're still one of the best teams, easily top 10 team in the country. I think that's very safe to say. So credit to Michigan for doing that, winning that scrimmage. I think it bodes well for them moving forward. But I will say this. I was told all offseason that Trey Jackson is the 3 and Trey Jackson is the guy, and Trey Jackson pops, and Trey Jackson could have some NBA murmurings and offer that for Terrence Williams to start over him and play better than him. So I take that as a negative in my eyes.
Yeah, you know who hasn't been telling you that?
You?
Me. I don't want to do too many victory laps, but I'm kind of in victory lap mode on this Monday. A lot of what happened this weekend with these 5 teams we're talking about are pretty much things that I have been camping for all season. I said Trey Jackson's not an impact guy. If he's going to start, good luck. Well, he didn't start. I've been saying people have been downplaying all summer. Everyone's been telling me Terrence Williams is going to be relegated to the role. They went out and got 2 guys that play his position to play over him. He's going to be a Jace Howard type impact. No, there's a really good chance Terrence Williams has to start at the 3 on this team because Michigan failed to go get a 3. And like it or not, Terrence Williams started and played 26 minutes on Michigan last year. The coaching staff isn't just going to totally go away from that in favor of a guy who could never crack Seton Hall's rotation. Like, what am I missing on this? And look, jokes aside, I want to say this. Terrence Williams deserves a ton of credit for the way he has approached this offseason, because it is objectively true that the coaching staff entered this offseason with their biggest priority being we need to get players to come in and play over Terrence Williams. That's what they did. That's what the Kamwa ad was. That's what the Trey Jackson ad was. They got 2 guys who were supposed to come in and take Terrence Williams' role. What did Terrence Williams do about it? He could have hit the portal. He could have just shut down. He could have complained. He knows the Michigan fan base doesn't like him and is rooting for people to take his spot. What did he do? He reshaped his body. He got a brand new jump shot. And look, I'm not buying. I'm not saying Terrence Williams is like a breakout player. I'm not saying it's great for the team that he's starting. But I think he deserves a bunch of credit because he is a different player. From the video that I have seen, and there isn't video from this game, but there was video from the first game, he's a totally different player. He moved down a position. His body's completely different. He lost weight, and his jump shot is different. It's a different jump shot. There's no hitch anymore. He was afraid to shoot, and the shot was ugly last year. This year, I told you, he was catching and shooting contested threes and hitting them in the scrimmage I saw. And that's the report was he was doing this against Marquette too. So it is a change. It is something to keep an eye on. Look, if you had told me these 4 things without any additional details happened in the Michigan-Marquette scrimmage, if you had told me Marquette scored 111 points, Doug McDaniel did not play as many minutes and didn't play as well as you would hope, they had a turnover rate in the 30s, and Terrence Williams started, I would have assumed Marquette won 111-46. That would have been my thought. All 4 of those things happening and Michigan winning this game is absurd to me. It's hard for me to process without seeing it. I just can't fathom how it happened. Like I think I was texting you and DK. If this really happened, Doug McDaniel must have been crazy good. He wasn't crazy good. Everybody's like, no, Doug was fine. The team just scored 115. That's crazy. I thought there was no recipe for this Michigan team being good other than Doug being phenomenal. So the fact that they can go up against a team as veteran heavy as Marquette that is very balanced, especially in the backcourt, my eyes are open. My ears are open. I want to see this team now because I want to know how the hell it happened.
Greg, I don't know why it took me this long. I apologize. Maybe it's Monday. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 'cause I didn't have my Monday coffee yet. Maybe I don't know what we can necessarily call that. How dare I talk about this when not bring this up? Because I was told that, Marquette's backcourt, they're the nastiest backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the first team All-American. He's getting dog walked by a freshman with a president's name? Interesting. They can't check a soul? Also interesting. David Joplin isn't Omax? Ben Gold isn't Omax? Who would have thought? Interesting. That's all I'll say.
I do want all the Michigan State fans out there who are using this to dunk on Marquette and not give Michigan any credit. I want to say objectively, that's a mistake. There is no way to minimize how good Marquette was for the final 2 months of last season. There's
I gave them their credit, and
I know. I'm just we had text with DK, and it wasn't just DK, but it's a lot of people's reaction to this was like, "LOL, Marquette's so overrated." And like Tyler Kolek, how is he a first-team All-American? There is no way to minimize how good Marquette was the final 2 months last season. And Kolek, like go look at the game logs. Kolek averaged like 18, 8, and 5 on absurd percentages, and Marquette eviscerated a conference with UConn in it. Like Marquette was better. That happened, and that team returns 80% of their guys this year. And I know they're different, but like it's not, they're overrated. They lost to Michigan State. That happened. Really good teams can lose to Michigan State. That was bad. I'll sell this Marquette team in March. 100%. I will sell Shaka Smart in March. I'm not selling Marquette in the regular season. They're a really good team. And my final take on this, I do think if there's one thing to take away from this result, it's that people probably are sleeping on Michigan's front court significantly too much. I think there's a world where Kamwa and Reed are like one of the best front courts in the country. Even if Michigan has nothing else, I think like there's a really good chance those two are just really damn good.
Yeah, they are. But it's also just very if Nkamhoua can stretch the floor, it's good, but it's also very, at least to me, not likely that you just see a front court in today's day and age just absolutely win games with physical dominance necessarily. Like a front court pair, just winning a game with just complete physical dominance. I like to believe that a team would do something to prevent that, because it's preventable, at least in my eyes. Like, sometimes it's hard to stop a team when they have guys to stretch the floor and also dominate inside. But yeah, all in all, a great result for Michigan basketball.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the takeaway from it.
17-8 and 17-9. I can go to sleep happy with that. If I get that consistently from my front court, like, it's eye-popping numbers for me. Good job, Michigan. Way to actually make me care about the season more than I thought I would at any point. Incredible stuff. I'm really excited. Let's move on to another take of mine that looks fantastic right now. Indiana was down 27-25 to Indianapolis. Yeah, Indianapolis. That's the team they played. They were down by 2 points at halftime of this game. Now, Indiana did turn it on and end up winning the game, so we can't overreact too much. But who am I kidding? Yes, we can. I can overreact to anything I want.
Also, Greg, you need to define this game a little bit more, because I saw a lot of people responding saying, "Oh, you didn't tweet anything about the end of the game. Oh, you didn't say anything about the end of the game. We ended up winning by almost 20 points." This game was close all the way up until like the damn near 6-minute mark of the second half, and they turned it up in that 3 to 4 minute stretch. But let's not overlook this. Indy D2 basketball school, shout out to the lower division schools, always represent. They were in this game for the damn near whole game. Okay, this was a very close game. They played extremely hard, and I think that you saw a lot of issues that we talked about with Indiana come to the forefront, and I think that you should be genuinely concerned, because in my watch back of the game, and when I was taking some mental notes and doing things in my phone and basically things like that, I saw all the things that I thought would cause issues for the start of the year. It seemed that they couldn't really execute a 3-on-1 fast break. It didn't really seem like they could get out and run. They were struggling finishing against a lower division team. That's never a really good size, especially at the rim. Khalil Ware's kind of, to me, looked like he didn't like basketball, but still didn't like his basketball way into like 12-6 or whatever he had in this game. It just, like, I don't know. Nothing about that game did anything to change my thoughts on Indiana basketball. If anything, it made it worse.
Yeah, we've been pretty loud that we're selling Indiana stock all offseason, or at least I have. I think late you kind of came around and were like, they have a higher ceiling than we've said. But for the most part, you and I have been collectively selling them. I do just want to say, before we get into the Indiana side of this, I mean, it's a really difficult task. Like, if your job for a game is to try and, I don't know, contain Jesse Bingham and Paul Zelinskis and Sean Craig, like, that's a three-headed monster that's just difficult to contain. So shout out to Indianapolis. You, Indy, like those three just crushed. And I don't think Indiana had any answers. I don't know how they're supposed to. I don't know how a Big Ten team is supposed to have answers for Jesse Bingham, Paul Slinkskis, and Sean Craig, let alone one that has Khalil Ware, who I'm told is a first-round pick, and Mackenzie Mbako, who I'm told is a first-round pick, and Malik Reneau, who I'm told is an all Big Ten guy, and Xavier Johnson, who I'm told is a top 10 guard in the country. Do you get what I'm doing here? Everything we've been told about this Indiana team is a lie. And I've been trying to tell everyone this all offseason. Everything, literally anything positive that people have said about Indiana is a lie. It's just not accurate. The truth about this Indiana basketball team, they might be all right. They might sneak into the tournament. They might be a bubble team. I'm not saying that can't happen. But the truth about this Indiana team is they had a massive hole in the backcourt and didn't address it at all. Like, that's every other team in the country that like went out and got things that they needed. Indiana just didn't. Indiana just like saw that their only guard on their roster was Xavier Johnson and then said, let me put all my chips on Xavier Johnson. He has to be everything for this team. And again, Indiana fans have claimed that's okay. It's clearly not okay. Like, Xavier Johnson, I'm sorry, he's not that guy. He's not the guy who can play 35 minutes and be everything for a team. If he was Yogi Ferrell, maybe this looks better. He's not. Like, he's just not a guy. He's going to be okay, and that's about it. Indiana's going to have to do all their damage in the front court, and we've said there's so many questions, both on court and off court, of how these guys fit together. And the early returns are kind of ugly. Like, Khalil Ware had 14, 6, and 2 blocks. He played 25 minutes. And Kenzie Mbako, 5 for 11 from the floor. He hit a 3. He was 3 for 6 from the free throw line. He had 14 and 8. Like, the production's kind of there. Malik Reneau, 5 for 9, 12 and 6. Like, you basically got 3 power forwards who can get you 12 and 6 every night. That's what I'm expecting from these guys. And
Khalil Wares was garbage time points too, by the way. I just want to let that be known. Like he was sleepwalking the whole game, and then he turned up for like the last 3 minutes.
But I don't see anything more than that, right? Like, aren't these 3 guys just 3 12 and 6 guys? Which all individually, that's fine. But as a cohesive team, you somehow have to get more than that. And the guards around them aren't going to be more than that. So I don't know how it works. Like, you look at the bench for this team, Peyton Sparks, he's my nominee for worst transfer, not like worst caliber wise. He made the worst transfer decision in the country. He transferred in so he can play 4 minutes a game off the bench. Like, why did he choose to go to this team that has 6 power forwards?
I think he got hurt though, low key.
Oh, did he actually?
Yeah, I think he turned his ankle and they held him out.
Okay. He only had 4 minutes in the first half, and then he finished with 7. So
did he come? Then he must. I'm okay. Then he might have came back in. I missed him. I was watching it back, and I saw him sprain his ankle pretty. I thought he turned it pretty good. I didn't know he came back in though.
Okay, then my apologies to if I screwed that up and didn't know he got hurt. I just watched the Matthew Love ball and I didn't notice that. Yeah, I don't know. Just go through like Anthony Walker, power forward, off the bench. Cool. Not what Indiana needs, right? Like, Gabe Cups didn't really do much in this game. He missed a 3. He was 2 for 4 from the floor. Looks like a bench guard. CJ Gunn was aggressive at least. He was 3 for 8.
Did you come away liking CJ Gunn from that game? I kind of did.
I like him compared to their other options. I don't like him compared to guards in the Big Ten.
Oh, no. I'm talking about just Indiana as a basketball team.
But okay. I can't believe I'm even saying this. It's so gross to think about. If Tamar Bates is on this team, isn't he like their 5th best player? Isn't he their 2nd best guard, clearly?
He's 2nd or 3rd.
I'm taking Tamar Bates over every single guy off their bench.
Off the bench? Oh, yeah, off the bench? Yeah.
And
I don't know. I can't. I randomly came away liking CJ Gunn a lot out of this game. I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 0 for 2 from 3, 2 for 5 from free throw. 18 minutes for CJ Gunn.
The takeaway we need from this, though, Gregory, we weren't overreacting to what we said about Indiana. They're literally just proving what we said. Now, it could change. I get it. I know Indiana fans are going to get in our mentions and our comments and be like, it's one game, it's overreaction. You know what? It might be. But what we're doing right now is we're reacting to the game that we saw, and the reaction is yuck. Yuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna react. That's what I do. Okay. Like, I have a podcast so that I can react to basketball things. If you call that overreacting, fine. I'm not afraid to overreact. I'm going to talk about basketball. It's what I like to do. And last thing for me on Indiana, there was a lot of like, put some respect on Trey Galloway dialogue to us. Like, when we were criticizing this roster and our concerns for them, part of this was like, we don't think Trey Galloway is anything more than a role guy. In this game, he was absolutely just a role guy. He played 24 minutes. He was 1 for 5 from the floor. He didn't attempt a 3-pointer. He was 1 for 2 from the free throw line. He finished with 3 points and 3 assists. That's their starting shooting guard that has to play 30 to 35 minutes a night because you didn't get any other guards. I'm looking around this conference, man. I don't think Trey Galloway can do this job. I just don't. Like, they're going to ask way too much of him, and he's just a role guy. And it's kind of hard because I don't think this is fair. I don't think this is fair to Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway to like ask them to be things they're not. But the roster is going to beg them to, and I think it's going to go really, really poorly. Like, to put a final number on it, they attempted 10 3-pointers in this game. You know how bad that is in this era against this opponent? And of those 10 threes card, 4 of them came from the front court. Like, Khalil Ware and Mpako attempted 4. You had 6 3-pointers attempted as a team outside of the power forwards that start for this team. That's insanity.
Yeah, it is. And if I'm an opposing coach, I'm like, damn, that team's going to be pretty easy to check.
I mean, I think I made the comp of the offseason. It reminds me of the Josh Smith, Andre Drummond, like Greg Monroe Pistons. Like, I have no idea what you're supposed to do with that. It's ugly. It's ugly, ugly, ugly. Great. That felt refreshing. I enjoyed that. I don't want to prey on anybody's downfall, but I enjoyed that. To Illinois. Can we talk about a Big Ten team that looked great? I don't feel like we've really done that yet. Let's talk about Illinois. Man, they just beat the number one team in the country to start the season. How about that? That's exciting stuff. I'm going to try and find a box score on this quickly just because I don't have it in front of me. But to me, this game started with Terrence Shannon being phenomenal and Coleman Hawkins being a really good compliment to him. Everybody else, there were things that we liked out of this. Ty Rodgers looked better than we thought. Quincy Guerrier got the start and looked like that's the right move. Marcus Damask had like one of the most quiet, super productive performances anybody had this first weekend. The rotation was fascinating. We'll get to that later in the segment, but starting point for me, Shannon and Hawkins were really, really good. Do you agree that that's the starting point?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been carrying the flag, carrying the water for Terrence Shannon Jr., All-American, honestly, first-team All-American level player this year, and I truly believe that he can do that. He's so special going downhill, and everyone knows that he's going left, and he still is going to get to that left hand, and he's going to go downhill, and he's extremely strong, and he finishes so well. And when he's able to knock down that three as well, he's honestly an unguardable player for most college basketball players. So it was good to see that. And then, of course, honestly brought a little bit of a thug tear to my eye watching Coleman play, man, because all he had to do, and I talked about it all offseason, was just take better shots. Like for me, it was everyone pointed to Coleman's percentages. Coleman's percentages to me were a reflection of the fact that he was shooting shots that he shouldn't shoot, or he was not shooting shots that he should shoot. And it just threw things off, and it threw off his rhythm. I thought he was decisive yesterday. I thought he was shooting open threes when he had it. The shot looks good. He was doing things, making passes, initiating offense at some points from the top of the key when Hunter was guarding him. And he made some really big plays for this team. So if you're going to get that level from Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman Hawkins this year, I really like Illinois' chances of being a good team because I believe that the other guys on this team can fill in roles. Like I think Damask can fill in roles. I think Harmon can fill in roles. I think Guerrier Goody can fill in roles on this team. So I thought it was very impressive. Also, especially in the first half, I thought the offense just looked amazing. The extra passing, the making the right play, the finishing, knowing what to do at what time, everything just looked to be flowing very, very well. And it looked like a group of guys who liked playing with each other and were moving the ball and doing everything well. Before you get going on your point, though, I'm going to put my one little pin in this because all of this I said that Illinois could be a good team in the offseason. But the thing is, this is kind of what Illinois does. It looks great right now. It is great right now. It is great when you're beating Kansas. It's great when you're beating the number one team. It's can you keep it together when the times are a little bit tougher, when adversity strikes or something happens? Can that same energy be brought to those games? That's still TBD at this point. But just looking at this game, I thought it was a great game for Illinois. I truly was. It was impressive that they got this win too.
Yeah, I don't want to punish this Illinois team for previous Illinois teams' issues. I'm going to try and be really objective about that anytime we talk about this team. With that said, you're absolutely right. Being great in October and November has never been a Brad Underwood Illinois team's problem. It just hasn't. The problem has been guys start to get unhappy around the December mark, and then everything implodes from within. We've seen it pretty much year after year, the past couple. Obviously, that didn't happen when Kofi and Io were here because Kofi and Io were transcendent talents. This year's team, I think, has a lot of reasons you should believe that won't happen. And it starts with the incomers that they got. I think I downplayed them a lot all offseason. I just said they're worse basketball players, even if they're better people than the guys who departed the program. I still think that's true. I think in a lot of ways, the guys they added are not as talented as the guys that left. With that said, I definitely underestimated how much it matters to have guys who are like 22 years old, who are perfectly fine being the fifth option on a good team. And that's to me what Damask and Guerrier and Justin Harmon are. They don't care.
And reasonably caffeinated.
and reasonably, not over caffeinated, right? Like these three guys for real, when they're on the floor, like they're perfectly fine with Terrence Shannon and Coleman Hawkins going and doing everything. And when they get a kick out, they're going to make the right play. I think I underestimated how much that will help this team because I was really impressed with what I saw from Guerrier and Damask and Justin Harmon in this game. To me, it really is. It's going to come down to how good Shannon and Hawkins are. And I don't mean to downplay because I think they were phenomenal in this game. And when they're at their best, I don't think there's really many, if any, duos in the country that are as good as them when they're playing this good. Like, to me, that's one of the top 3 duo combinations in college basketball. With that said, they shot 9 for 18 from 3 last night. That is not going to happen much, let alone like often. It's probably not going to happen much. And I do think a big part of Illinois' success in this game can just be attributed to like Shannon and Hawkins were hitting shots. And on nights that those guys hit shots, they're going to be really, really good. I just don't think those guys are going to shoot a combined 9 for 18 very often. Here's the big elephant in the room is this. Brad coached this game like it was a national championship game. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that. I'm not saying it was a wrong move or anything. In fact, I think it was really important for them to get this win if they could get this win, and they did. Hunter Dickinson's 0-5 against them. Everybody feels great. The season started off on the right note. That's awesome. There's a huge elephant in the room that guys just didn't play in this game, though. And it's, again, his issue his whole career has been keeping guys happy. How does Sincere Harris feel about playing 8 minutes in this game? How does Dre Gibbs Lawhorn and Dre Gibbs Lawhorn's mother feel about him playing 3 minutes in this game? How does Amani Hansberry feel about playing 2 minutes in this game? How does Dane Danger feel about playing 9 minutes in this game? How does Luke Goody feel about coming off the bench behind Quincy Guerrier playing 10 minutes in this game? I mean, those are 5 guys that wholeheartedly believe they should be in the rotation that essentially aren't in a charity exhibition. I'm baffled that he played such a small rotation so many minutes. It worked. They got the win. The record is still 0-0 after getting this win. And to do my whole body language PhD thing, I think you already see some frustrations from certain guys. I think you could see that through the screen. And like I've said, I don't want to punish them for previous years, but Brad's whole issue has been managing personalities. And we're one night into the season, and he's essentially told 5 very key parts of this team, hey, you're not going to play much. As there's going to be guys that are mad by not even December, by like November 15th. If this continues, there's going to be guys who are loudly frustrated with this. Do you see that coming?
I do, but to me, one, I don't think that's going to be consistent, at least for some of the guys on the team. And to me, if I had to pick guys that I think actually would be okay with this, just at this point, it would be like guys like Goody and honestly, even like Sincere Harris to me, even though someone pointed out that Sincere Harris looked a little bit dejected or upset on the bench. I didn't see that, but
he was one that was on my list. There were 2 that I think I noticed with, and Sincere was one of them.
Well, there was one I for sure noticed, but I didn't know if Sincere was another one. But I don't know. It's impossible to keep every single person happy on a basketball team. This is the downfall that we talked about. This is the issues that arise when you do have 12 guys, let's say, I don't know what the exact number would be with this Illinois team, that deserve minutes on this team. I don't want to put words into Coach Underwood's mouth or anything like that, but you want to kind of pitch the dream that we're going to be a really good basketball team. We got 12 guys who can play. Minutes might fluctuate for some guys on the team. It's basically going to be Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman are going to be, those guys are there. Those are the 2 mainstays. Those are major minute guys. That's what's going to happen. But you know what? Some games, maybe Coleman's not playing well. Minutes get cut a little bit. Another guy needs to come in and step up. And in this case, I thought that Brad did a good job of putting the players around those 2 guys that were doing the right things and making the right plays in this game. Like he put the guys who were playing well and making the right plays out there with the 2 mainstays that they had, and they were able to get the win. So, you can't play everybody. Obviously, guys have different personalities. There's only so much that you can do with that. And if they don't want to buy in and be a part of something, then it is it is what it is. The only reason that it comes to the forefront so much with these Illinois teams is because there's no reward on the other end of it. It's more so guys are upset and success isn't happening. If you're having success and guys are upset with their role or upset with their how they're being portrayed or whatever you want to call it, then that's on them for not wanting to be a part of the success. So if it leads to winning and success, then you can't really, push back on making some guys unhappy because you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, I think Brad said it after the game, like, you coach to win the game. That's true for games that count. I don't know if you have to coach to win the game in a charity exhibition. Now, he did.
And you know this more than anybody. All right. Anytime that the Illini take in between the lines at State Farm Center, Brad Underwood's job is on the line in the eyes of the fan base. He's got to win.
Listen, you're right. I to be clear, I'm not saying he did anything wrong in this game. I think it was good that he coached to win the game. And more importantly, I give him a lot of credit for pulling the right names in this. It would be different if I think he had the wrong guys in big roles. Guerrier, obviously last night he did, but I'm kind of convinced Guerrier is better than Luke Goody. No offense to Luke Goody, but people keep telling me Luke Goody's like a knockdown shooter. He was 0 for 2 from 3 in this game and did nothing else other than miss his 2 threes. Like, Guerrier was rebounding. He got to the line a ton. He only attempted 1 3, but he hit it. Guerrier is like 24 or however old he is. He's played a bunch of college basketball. If you're going to play a shooter, like a big wing shooter, I think Guerrier is a better player than Luke Goody. So I give Brad Underwood credit for that. Damask, again, super quiet, very productive night in 29 minutes. Like, I think he's pulling the right strings right now. I just also know, like, for a fact, Gibbs Lawhorn is pissed right now. And he's the type of guy who will be pissed even if Illinois is winning, if he's not playing. Now, the bigger question to me is, like, will Goody and Dane and Sincere be okay with this? I mean, Dane playing 9 minutes is crazy, man. I know that hurts your soul.
Oh yeah, especially in this game too. In this game specifically.
Yeah.
Like with Hunter Dickinson out there, I just felt like Dane could have played.
Dane probably was the biggest loser of the night, man. 9 minutes and an elbow to the throat. Like,
yeah.
Tough. All in all, stock up for Illinois for sure. It's just going to be difficult for him to manage the personalities, but we'll figure it out. We've been through this before, and Illinois looks really good. They should definitely be a factor in the Big Ten conversation, maybe in a bigger way than we said. Maybe it's not just Michigan State and Purdue. Maybe it's Michigan State and Purdue and Illinois. Can we quickly do the Hunter side of this? Hunter Dickinson back in the State Farm Center, 0-5 in his career against Illinois. That's how it will end unless these teams play in the NCAA tournament. This game was vintage Hunter, by the way. Like, let me just do the cathartic ex-boyfriend thing with Hunter real quick. He played 34 minutes. He scored 22 points. He had 9 rebounds. He had 0 assists. He was 1 for 3 from 3. He was 9 for 20 from the floor. I've seen this Hunter Dickinson game 65 times in Hunter Dickinson's career. It's always the same. He's super productive individually. It's a close game. And then it gets to crunch time, and the entire offense gets stuck in the mud because everyone's just trying to get him the ball, and it slows down. It's ugly. And down the stretch, every time he gets the ball, every possession, he goes like 2 for 4 on contested hook shots. And you're not winning the game if you go 50% on hook shots down the stretch in a close game. If you're down 3, like, that's not what you need. So I think Kansas is going to have issues, man. I think the build around him has all of the issues that hurt Michigan in the past, other than, like, I think they have better defenders than Jed Howard, but they have less shooting than Michigan had last year. And Hunter complained about shooting all season publicly. Like, this team has less shooting around him. Nick Timberlake looked awful. McCullough was the only guy who hit threes. They only attempted 12 3-pointers in this game. I think Hunter's the best shooter on this roster. And that's horrifying. Like, you can't play him and KJ Adams with a point guard who also won't shoot the ball. And I don't think this is changing. I thought Hunter had, again, a lot of the body language stuff. Like, Kansas players are looking around like, oh shit, this guy is a dirty player. This guy throws cheap shots. Like, we're going to have to deal with this shit all game long. Like, he's chippy in games that they're losing. That's been the Hunter Dickinson story his whole career. And he hit the podium after the game. They asked him the question, pointed, like, I think it was Jeremy Werner from 247 who asked him. what's your relationship like with Illinois fans these days? And it literally took Hunter 45 seconds to process the question and make sure he didn't answer it. Like you could tell he had the most absurd thing ready to say, oh, I hate those people, screw them. And instead he just like realized Bill Self would murder him if he said it. And I guess credit to him for not doing it. He said, I can't give you a good answer right now. But this is going to be a thing, man. Bill Self and the entire Kansas roster are going to have to figure out how to navigate the Hunter Dickinson experience. And my takeaway is there's no way this team's the top 5 team in the country. You can't be that if you're centered around Hunter.
Hey, shout out to the Kansas football team. Shout out to Jason Bean with the big dub at home against Oklahoma. But let's shift to Kansas basketball right now. And Kansas basketball fans, if any of them stumble upon this, and I feel like they might, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Okay. This is what it is. This is the Hunter Dickinson show. For better, for worse, this is what it is. And over the past couple of years, it's ended up being for worse. So I don't think they've ever had to deal with somebody like this. And this is not even like I like Hunter. I'm not attacking Hunter. I think Hunter's a good person. It's just like, as far as when you're playing basketball, the dude and the teams he plays on, things just don't go well.
The issues are real, like the spacing stuff, and it's not all his fault, but he chose to go to this roster. He saw what the roster was, and he chose to go there. And
you saw that KJ Adams was there for.
And again, for a guy who has loudly complained about his teammates for 2 years, to choose a roster that can't shoot, it's just a fascinating development. And yeah, I mean, there was a concerted effort from everyone, from Bill Self, from everyone on the floor from Kansas. The concerted effort was, that's our best player, get him the ball. Again, I think I've seen this from experience. That won't work. Like Hunter Dickinson's not going to do that on a championship team. In an ideal world, Hunter's your 2. If you have somebody else who's the alpha, I mean, back his freshman year, Michigan was nasty. They were the 3rd best team in the country in the year where Gonzaga and Baylor were awesome. And Hunter was arguably the most talented player, but he was like the 2nd, 3rd option most nights. Like that works. When he's your everything, when he's the sun and everything else evolves around it, it's going to be extremely clunky. And Kansas needs to figure that out. It's going to be a really big test for the best coach in the country, Bill Self. All right.
Wait, hold on. Last thing. Hunter should have just came to state.
Okay.
He should have. It could have been Tyson and Hunter.
Would have been really entertaining stuff. Let's go to our final topic today. The Purdue Boilermakers are the final team we want to talk about. They lose on the road to Arkansas. My big thing with this game was it was shockingly chippy, which I love. Like, it's fun from a viewership perspective. This was the most entertaining game other than Michigan State, Tennessee for me for the weekend. But Purdue, I've held their flag, said they're the number 1 team in the country. They looked good. They didn't look great in this game. A lot of the things that plagued them last year are back, namely Braden Smith, 7 turnovers in 37 minutes in this game. As a team, Purdue shot 8 for 27 from 3-point range. Honestly, Fletch and Braden looked okay. They both hit 2 threes in this game. Mason Gillis hit 3 out of 8 threes. Everybody else, not really anything. There weren't many attempts outside of those 3 guys other than Lance Jones, who got the start. He's a 6'1" guard that transferred into Purdue. He's starting at the 3 for Purdue alongside Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. He was 2 for 11 from the floor, 1 for 5 from 3 in this game in 27 minutes. Kaufman-Renn started at the 4. It was clunky with Zach Edey. That's the word I would use. It looked like he had a breakout summer, just still not all the way there. Hasn't figured it out. He's not a good free throw shooter. And then that big group of options they got at the 3-man that they chose Lance Jones over. Mason Gillis looked great. And I know people tell me he's not a 3, but he looked really good. Outside of that, you got nothing from Miles Colvin and Brian Waddell. Nothing. Ethan Morton was out there for some cardio, 21 minutes, 4 rebounds, no assists, no points, no shots. Like, it's clear to me that Painter wants to go away from Morton and Gillis and wants to find a higher ceiling. The problem is the higher ceiling guys aren't ready. Miles Colvin is way in over his head. Brian Waddell barely played. And Heidi might be the best option here, and he's not ready right now either. So I need to be careful because I've gone over the top on how in I am on Purdue. I didn't know Lance Jones would be starting at the 3. I'm very out on that idea. Are you with me on that?
I am with you. I am out with you on that idea, but I will say this: I'm gonna put a positive spin on this, and I actually want to get your thoughts on it. To me, I'm gonna say 2 guys because from everything I've heard, And I don't want to go ahead and, project for the rest of the season, but I think Purdue fans need to come to grips with the fact that this season you might not get anything from Colvin. This might be a wash for Colvin. I think there's been redshirt rumors even at that. So you look at the other options. You have Cam Heidi. Sorry, I know Purdue fans are really.
We have no idea if we're saying that right or wrong. I'm not gonna choose to comment officially on his name until I hear Robbie Hummel say it.
Okay, Camden Heidi and Brian Waddell, and you need something from one of those two guys. Do you get something from one of those two guys? I don't know. I felt like at this point of the season, you would be able, or not this point of the season, but I felt like at least at this point, it would be one of those two guys, not Lance Jones. So to me, that's an indictment on what those two guys have shown. And it's a little bit confusing to me because even when I was watching back in the scrimmages, like the black and gold scrimmages that Purdue had, I thought that Heidi and Waddell were actually pretty solid at the 3. And I thought it'd be one of them maybe to start. And Lance Jones didn't look bad in those scrimmages, but I just always looked at Lance Jones as a bench guy. So I don't know. It's definitely a cause of concern, I think, for me. But also this game was just so weird. This was the weirdest of the exhibition games to me, just because like it was called a little bit strange. Edie was in foul trouble. So it's and also like they didn't feed Edie as much as they usually do. And that was kind of strange to me. But it was just a weird game overall. But I definitely think it's a cause for concern if Lance Jones is the answer at the 3 as your starting 3-man. And if you're going to let Ethan Morton get that much cardio.
I think Jones will shoot it better at times this year. Obviously, like he's not going to shoot 2 for 11 every single game.
But also, sorry, Gene, I don't want to cut you off. Even if he does shoot better, you still don't want that to be your starting 3.
Yeah. To me,
have that shooting and come off the bench. He shouldn't be if that's your best option in starting 3. That's not a good thing.
I could be wrong on this, but to me, the way I have viewed this all offseason was that he was just brought in to play the David Jenkins role. He was brought in to be the backup guard across 2 positions and shoot some threes. And if that was his role, I like Lance Jones a lot. I think he can have a good season and shoot it better than he did last year, which, by the way, was 28% on 7 attempts. If you're telling me Purdue's starting this guy at the 3, that doesn't mean Lance Jones has been awesome. That hasn't been the report all summer. You tell me, we're pretty deep in Purdue circles right now. Have you heard anything on Lance Jones being awesome until 2 days ago? Never. No. Nothing. Like the overseas trip was never like, ooh, look at Lance Jones. It was, look at Brian Waddell. He looks great. Ooh, Colvin's showing flashes. Heidi's the most athletic guy on this team. None of that has come to fruition because it's game 1 and they have to start a 6'1" guard who is barely making threes right now. Like a volume shooting guy that misses a bunch of threes that's 6'1". This is not D Brown, Darren Williams, Luther Head. This is now a Zach Edey generational talent constantly being surrounded by guys who can't shoot. How do you look at what Purdue happened last year and how the season ended and not go find a better answer than Lance Jones to solve this?
Can't shoot and small. If anything, even to break this down as 2+2, give me a taller 3 to make a better pass into Zach Edey.
Right. Like that's the thing. If we get 3 weeks into this and Lance Jones is shooting in the 20s from 3, you have to go to somebody else. And it's probably Hyde or Morton. But like you have to go to somebody bigger because God knows Fletcher Lawyer can't guard anybody big. So like they're gonna get eaten up. Like by the time they play any team with a decent sized 3, like they're just gonna get eaten up.
Well, that's why Tremont Mark for Arkansas in this game was going crazy.
He went nuts.
Like he saw a 6'1" guard in front of him.
Arkansas looked very balanced, by the way. I don't want to minimize that. Like this Arkansas team is good. It's not like Purdue lost on the road to like a flimsy team. This Arkansas team is very good, very balanced. Every starter was in double figures. Like it's not hair-raising, alarming that Purdue lost this game. It's more so how they lost this game to me. And look, the counterpoint to all of this is Edey just missed stuff he never misses. Edey looks a little bit rusty right now. 4 for 8 from the floor for Zach Edey. He was in foul trouble. He ended up fouling out, or 5 fouls in this game.
Missed a dunk. When he missed a dunk, I was like, all right, what's going on here?
He's not going to miss those. He didn't all last season. He's not going to miss them much. But maybe if he makes a couple he normally makes, Purdue wins this game. We're not talking about it. But I think the truth is there's a lot to figure out for this team. And we barely even mentioned, I mean, Braden had 7 turnovers. I said at the top, but this ain't the Big Ten. And when you get outside of the Big Ten, there's teams that pressure you. And Braden has struggled with pressure his whole career. And Arkansas wasn't like getting in his shit full court. This wasn't like a trap press like we've seen him struggle with. But this was a team with a bunch of athletic guards that will get in your shit. That's the type of team Braden struggles with. I liked Braden in general, but you said it at the top of the show. He was just trying to do too much. Like a lot of his turnovers weren't even forced. They were kind of careless, flashy stuff I don't think he needs. And again, I said I like that because I like the confidence, and this game didn't matter. But it's something to watch because he can't turn the ball over 7 times on a team that's playing 3 guards. 2 of them aren't shooting. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and you can't. The one thing I will say is that he could have came into this game and played super tentative because of all the outside noise of that. I don't want to make mistakes because everyone talks about how we make mistakes against teams that pressure and do all this like hard-nosed defense. He came out and he did try to make some plays. Granted, some of them were like, Jesus, Braden, just make the pass. Like he was doing some wild stuff, which obviously, on our podcast, we always commend making. If you can make a look away pass, I'm going to make a look away pass. But that's me in men's league, not striving for a Final Four banner.
Positive for Purdue. Zach Edey had stretches of this game, like significant stretches where he was not on the floor. Purdue outscored Arkansas in some of those stretches. I think we were kind of early on this train. We said we think Purdue would be a top 10 team in the country even without Zach Edey. Some people laughed us off the internet for that. Kind of backed up by this. Arkansas is very good, and they looked very good without Zach Edey.
Laugh us back on, damn it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm keeping my eye on that for sure. All right, give me a number to wrap this up. Code 1 through code 5. Code 5 is like sound the alarms, evacuate. We're off the Purdue bandwagon. Code 1 is they're fine. National championship still in the picture.
Code 2.
Okay. Elaborate.
It's code 2 in 4 or 5 games. If I still see Lance Jones at the 3 and he's shooting the way he's shooting right now, then I'm going code 4, maybe code 5. Okay.
It's code 3 for me. It's very alarming to me that Lance Jones is starting and playing so many minutes while he misses shots. It's as alarming to me as the whole like Terrence Williams is back in the lineup for Michigan. But at least with Michigan, Terrence Williams is hitting the shots. Like the story is he's starting now because he's hitting shots. Lance Jones is starting and he's not hitting shots, and he's still starting because all the other options aren't good enough. That's horrifying. It's not what I signed up for when I said I'd be the leader of the Purdue national championship train this year.
You didn't sign up for all this.
I also just talked myself into code 4. That's not a code 3. That's code 4. I can't express enough how scared I am. They're starting a 6'1" guard that doesn't make shots. Horrifying stuff.
Going to be a 6'1" guard, got to make shots.
Horrifying stuff. Okay. Fun episode today. I think that was 2 hours of content. Hope you enjoyed this. One big thing presented by Big B Cart. What do you got?
My one big thing is I have a challenge for everybody this week. For those out there who maybe have some trouble with procrastination or things like that, I want you to take this little antidote into the rest of the week. If you can get it done in less than 5 minutes, no matter what the task is, do it right then. Don't put it off. And come back and let me know how your week goes. That's my one big thing for today.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to take those words to heart. My one big thing from today is about charity exhibitions. These games should just count. Sue me. Like how are we watching what just happened? Seriously, how do you watch Illinois, Kansas, Michigan State, Tennessee, and Purdue, Arkansas, and come away with that being like, yep, we're still 0-0? That's absurd to me. That none of these coaches did anything in this game as if this game didn't matter. Brad Underwood just played all his best players 35 minutes. Like, what are we doing? These games should just count. Why do these teams not get it? And the whole first week of this season on the schedule is games no one wants to watch. No offense, but like that's a huge complaint is until the Champions Classic, the whole first week of the season, there's nothing special. Fix this. Give me a weekend. It doesn't have to be this early, but the opening weekend of the college basketball season should be a bunch of charity games. We can still make it for charity. Say all the tickets from this weekend go to charity. and have a bunch of top 25 teams playing each other, and the games should count. That's my take.
I love it. And I want to keep the foul rule the same while it counts too. Just for the charity exhibition games, no one can foul out.
I'm good with that too. All right. Good episode. The season is here. I can't wait. I'll see you tomorrow.